This segment of Invent America TV is brought to you by the law offices of R.P. Baraska. RPB law offices have been bringing corporate-level legal expertise to the independent inventor community for more than 20 years. For all your inventing legal needs, trust rpblawoffices.com.
Welcome, America, the Invent America show, where America invents. I want to welcome all of you. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at HomeTalkUSA.com. And check us out. And if you want to learn a little bit about the Invent America show, Made in America, Home Talk, that is the website. But we constantly stream around the clock. And now I'd like to welcome my partner in crime, the co-host, the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Miss Rita, glad to have you.
Hello there. It is nice to be here. How is everybody?
Yeah, everybody's sitting out here enjoying themselves, just waiting for the star attraction to make an appearance. So, but Rita, a lot going on. You know, Invent America is expanding all across the country because, as you say, America always invents. And we have a whole bunch of new audience that's tuning in that might not be familiar with the show. And maybe you could just do a little, I don't know, Rita's Digest version, a little bit about Invent America, what they can expect. And I do want to talk about a continuing conversation that we've been having about leverage. And I know we've been talking about that. So that'd be a continuation for our audience that tunes in every week. But give them a little insight on Invent America and a little bit about the show.
Well, you are exactly right. Americans have been inventing since we set sail to land, on this continent. Because if, something on the ship broke and they didn't fix it, everybody died. And that wasn't any fun. So people learned how to be, pretty, efficient in fixing things. Same thing with the wagon trains. And so it's amazing how many, patents were filed. And they started filing patents in America in 1790. So it's been around for a long time. And, the independent inventor has given us some of the best products that we know. And so it's really fun to watch some of these guys come up with these new ideas and say, wow, why didn't we have that 50 years ago? And it's wonderful because they're working the jobs. They see what needs to be done. They find out, the one gentleman we've had on before, he was in a restroom and somebody says, oh, I know how to fix that. And the guy goes, holy cow, man. Yep. And so you never know. But then watching the inventors fight the battle, it is a fight. It's hard to get there. And then it's like, all right, well, you got your patent filed and you got the prototypes working. Now what? And so when we can help let the consumers know those cool products coming down the pike, and we can help inventors avoid making some of the terrible mistakes, that makes a difference. It gets consumers aware. It helps inventors. So we get to help both sides. It's wonderful.
And you do that by laying out that blueprint that we keep talking about each week to make it easy for new inventors. Because I tell you, if we would have had that education information a long time ago, we wouldn't have made a lot of mistakes we made. But we learn through trial and error. We learn by the process, the economy, the system, constantly changing, rules changing, but you got to keep evolving. And that's, even though we talk about the basics, now we're starting to expand into this I guess I want to say this ever-changing world we're living in. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Change is one of those things it's coming. Change is always coming. And you can either, figure out how to deal with it, or it just runs you over because it's coming, whether you like it or not. So when we look at how things change, things have changed so much in making prototypes. I mean, it used to be 20 years ago, it would cost 10 grand to make a prototype. Now it costs a few hundreds with the rapid prototype machine. So that's an improvement because now you can test it, you can try it and say, oh, this needs to be a little bigger. This needs to be a little bit smaller. We need to use this kind of material. So that has gotten much more efficient. Some of the things that people use for their patent filing, pros say no way. That is something you should never, ever do yourself. Just, shoot yourself in the foot. Why don't you? It's a lot faster. Yeah. And so there's, things that, we've learned are good help and things that we have learned are bad help. And, when we can say, okay, this one's a good one and that's a bad one, don't go there. There's so many predators in the field. Yeah. And when we can say, this group is a predator group, don't go there. Crowdfunding, when it started 20 years ago, it was a wonderful tool, and it has become very, very predatory. And we've had folks that have, they raise $500,000 in 6 weeks and they're bankrupt in 6 weeks.
But it seems like every decade something new pops up that we have to address. I remember, a couple, I don't know, last decade, it was 3D printing. You remember when 3D printing manufacturers starting to do that? And now it went from 3D printing, which still exists, then now it's AI technology. So, man, it's just, you keep showing your toes because we constantly, in the manufacturers and need to, well, the people that actually have to produce and manufacture and prototype all these inventions have to stay, abreast of what's going on in the industry. And it's just a constant education. And that's why I think that this show is so much valuable to people,
It is because, it's hard enough when things are constantly changing.
Yeah.
It's not like you could, there are so many different books. And I read a book. Okay, well, you know what? You can find out a lot of good information or bad information, but you don't know. You don't know which one is which. The poor inventor is at the mercy of, whoever he happened to be listening to. And, there are some nasty guys out there. Yeah. And, I've seen them. There was one company, they charged 18 grand.
Wow.
Right. A provisional patent. It should be somewhere around 3.
Wow.
And, but it was to get them reeled in. It was to get them to, be obligated to then move on. And it was just holy mackerel. That was terrible. But then there's other companies, they charge 10 grand up front to do nothing. To say, oh, it's a wonderful idea. Let me send you another invoice for 10 grand so we can see if we can market it. And, it's crazy. Well, and so all we can do is say, okay, here's our inventors. Here's the new products. What did you, Mr. Inventor, learn the hard way and can share with our listeners?
Well, we talk about the changing of time. So I'm going to go back 250 years ago. And you mentioned something about patents. Our greatest, and some of you might not know, and I just found out that a couple of days ago, our greatest diplomat, one of the founding fathers of this country, a man that had over 1,100 inventions, Benjamin Franklin. I found out something I did not know, that not one of his products were patented. Didn't patent nothing. And it got me to thinking about that. Boy, we're living in a great time, because if he felt that his inventions and his should just be shared by everyone. But boy, we've changed from that, didn't we? Just think if this guy, I think he would have been the first trillionaire. Besides Musk.
Probably.
Yeah. 1,100 inventions. I mean, so we try to tell you, as great a mind that Benjamin Franklin was, he did a no.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that, it's like Thomas Edison is accused of stealing ideas.
Yeah.
No, he was the one that marketed the ideas. Two different animals. You can make it, but if you can't sell it, you're going to, not make any money. And it can be the coolest thing, but holy moly, you got to be able to market it and sell it.
Yeah.
Nobody puts money in your pocket.
They would go to him, and he would be the end consultant to say, put it all together, this raw clay. And he had the brain power to put it together. Tell us about our guest. We only got a couple minutes. Let's tell our audience about the show.
Chad Reeves works in the field he invented in. Go, Chad. And, it's, I live in the forest. Okay. And, we want to know this can be used on multiple different things, because everybody I've told about it is thinking, oh my God, this is so cool. So it's a very cool idea, and it makes it so much easier. You've got an HVAC, you've got a water heater, you've got something that breaks. Okay. I bought my house. I didn't install any of those things, but I could scan now a code that will allow me to say, oh, this is how long the warranty is good for. This is who's going to be servicing it. This is the part that needs to be fixed. Holy mackerel. And Chad is the one that came up with that process of being able to figure out, tell somebody what's going on.
All right. Well, we're going to have to take a short break. Got to pay some bills. We're going to hear from some of our great sponsors right here on the Invent America Show on the King's Broadcasting Network. Stay with us with our first guest, Mr. Chad Reeves. We're going to be right back. Y'all come back now, you hear?
This segment of Invent America TV is brought to you by SearchQuest Patent Search. SearchQuest provides for a comprehensive patent search that searches the entire world and not just the U.S. Patent Office. Make sure that before you spend those big bucks having a patent written, you've done your due diligence by getting a comprehensive patent search. Use SearchQuestPatents.com for all your patent search needs. They scour the world for you.
Welcome back, America. This is the Invent America show right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. I want to welcome all of you that's just tuning in. Don't forget, we do stream live each week, every week at HomeTalkUSA.com. Just click the website to the different links if you want to listen to the Made in America show, which is coming up the next hour, or Invent America, Home Talk. Some of the very best of home improvement information, education, about inventors. We cover everything. All the gamut is covered here on this show.
And my guest for this segment is Chad Reeves. He's got a very cool new home improvement step that will make life so much easier for everybody buying a new appliance, or if you've got an old one like I do. So Chad, HVAC passport. Tell everybody about yourself and tell everybody about your invention.
I'm Chad, and thanks for having me. I've invented the HVAC passport. It's a digital identity and lifetime record for HVAC, refrigeration, appliance equipment. Every system receives a unique tag that can be scanned by phone, giving manufacturers, distributors, contractors, technicians, building inspectors, and homeowners access to equipment's history from start to finish, including maintenance, warranty, parts ordering, all sorts of different features.
Okay, so give us your background. I mean, it's not like you woke up one day and said, I think I'll do this.
No, I own a heating and air business, two of them, and I've been in heating and air since 2007. And seeing the frustration, that's the main appliance or equipment, seeing the frustration in the field with, manufacturers, with distributor branches, with homeowners, with contractors and secretaries. And it just kind of, pieced it together in my brain, how to put all that together. And, each one of them had a lot of issues. And this way there's a flow. It's right there. Takes a few minutes or a few seconds, depends, which feature, and it's all in one. And I just kind of step, put it together and pieced it together with the software builder, and just it evolved.
Okay, so you did hire somebody that was going to help you build the software.
Yes, the software part. Yes, I took my idea and basically told him what I wanted to do, and kind of drew pictures and had many meetings, and went over what he did, made changes, and pieced it all together, and we have it up and running.
So you've got kind of two parts to it, where you've got new equipment and it comes then with the QR code on it. And so what does this tell, a homeowner? It's like all of a sudden, the HVAC stops working. What does it tell them?
Well, so, one of the main things is for the homeowner side of it. So there's different things for each person. For the homeowner side of it, they can, if their system quits working, one feature I really like for a homeowner, they can just go out and scan it, or hit an app, or hit the QR code, and basically, type in a message, send service right away. Whoever their contractor is, or installed it, or whoever they bought from, it'll send a message right to them instantly, and they can respond and send somebody right out. When a technician gets out there, they can log everything that's happened, look at how many days are left on the warranty. Was the warranty registered, which it should be with this feature. That's another feature it has when you install a new appliance. You guaranteed it registers because it has a check. If it's not registered, then it'll check, send a message to everybody. Why is this not registered? Because, so much is lost in the warranty process and not getting registered and fraud and so forth. People don't do it. And this reminds them, hey, do it. It's important. You'll wish you did, when something breaks. So this puts all that behind and about guarantees it, or at least reminds you.
So then warranty is one issue that comes up, but the model number, I mean, for folks that, you buy a house, it's got an older system in it. If they didn't happen to save the book, how do you even know what model number you've got?
So each passport's uniquely tied to that system. So when it's registered for the first time, installed or bought, it's tied. It can't be to any other system. It's uniquely to that system. So once you scan it, it's tied there. There's no looking it up. It's there on your phone. It's there on your app. It's there on the portal. It's tied right to it.
So then, all right. So like for somebody who's got older appliances, how do they use this moving forward?
So that's the retro part. So that's if you've already have something. The retro is actually a physical part that goes with it. I call it a passport tag. We have those. Basically, your service guy, your company comes out, or if you're a homeowner and want to register it like a major appliance, but I speak more on the HVAC side of it. He puts that on there, he registers the model serial number, it's tied in, it can't be overlapped. Same thing. If it breaks later or any information at that point going forward will definitely go in. If you need a quick service, you can still do the same feature. Scan it, tag it, app goes right to the contractor. They can come out and they can the service techs can order parts for that system still because they'll have a database of all those parts for that system. They can see if there's any warranty left because there could be some. They could check that when they register it, and it'll have that time ticker down, tell exactly how many days are left on it as well.
Excellent. So then how have you been getting the word out there? Where are you in the process?
So we just finished a prototype and I've talked to a few people. So I've got a lot of opinions and interviews from lower end manufacturer people, and then also contractors and secretaries and technicians and homeowners, and it's all good. So I'm just getting started. I'm having a little frustration of, getting to the top where I'd like for this thing to go to manufacturers, because it's so much easier if it comes out of the gate to it. I hadn't really tried yet. I'm thinking about, as far as the retro part of it, it's a different area, or two different things, but starting it out for manufacturers would be ideal because, it starts from the top and everybody can use it all the way down instead of getting in the middle. We need them both, but manufacturers is what, my goal is first.
So most of the time, all right, when we look at a licensing deal, we want to go to somebody who's going to then license it to everybody and not just one manufacturer. So that, it's all about the numbers, right? And so, if it comes down to the point where it's only one, okay, that's the way it goes. But if we can get them all, man, that's a big deal. And that way, then everybody can, be using it. So when we come back, we're going to go ahead and ask you a few more questions. We always enjoy the process that you have gone through to get where you are now. So we'll ask them about that. But in the meantime, if you're out there and you are an inventor or an inventor who needs some help, have them get in touch. We love to tell the stories. So stick with us, everybody. We will be right back after we go and pay a few bills. If you're an inventor or an inventor out there who would just like to be able to have a conversation with other inventors, join the Inventors Roundtable. It's free. The meetings are virtual, so you can be anywhere in America and talk to another inventor. And for a lot of folks out there, understanding the process, being able to ask questions, getting good service provider information is critical to the inventing process. So, got questions? Want to join? It's free. inventorsroundtable.org. And thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. We have been doing it for a long time, and we will continue into the future as long as possible. This segment is brought to you by RPB Law Offices. RPB Law Offices has been bringing corporate level legal expertise to the independent inventor community for more than 20 years. So for all of your inventing legal needs, trust rpblawoffices.com. And you know what? Shoot me an email if you need their contact, and I will put you in contact with the senior attorney. Not a problem. Anyway, my guest for this segment is Chad Reeves, and Chad is the inventor of the HVAC R passport system. Chad, what does the R stand for?
Refrigeration.
Oh.
Commercial refrigeration, but that stands for the refrigeration.
Okay. So how else can this technology be used?
With other appliances, or in regards to, any appliance, if you really think about it, because you go to Lowe's and does your stuff get registered? Does it get a warranty? Would you like to have an easy way if it breaks down to make contact with whoever's involved there? Anything mechanical that needs service, it could be used for.
Okay, so we're looking at the possibility of this being used, say, on a dishwasher, a refrigerator, a freezer, an HVAC system, a new water heater, a new furnace, or like you've got HVAC already, but it's got the ability to step in and help a lot of people anytime something breaks down.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. All right. So as you were going through these steps and it's like, you've got your wow factor. all right, when, you were in your system, but as you were realizing this could be used in other systems, how many times did you have a wow?
A lot, it was a lot, and it made it wide when I was speaking to the patent attorney, to make sure the claims was in there to cover them all. Because, like I said, anything mechanical. I mean, if you think of factories that have maintenance, it can be all pieced together. It streamlines everything so easily. It can make things a lot quicker, and I think catch up with troubleshooting stuff with AI attached to it also helps. Because the data is there and it recognizes whatever system that is, and as it takes in information, it builds up the brain of it, and then the answers are all there, and it makes it quicker each time. And you don't have to fiddle with a manual or so forth. And if somebody has a little bit of expertise in it, they can really take off with it because it gives them at least a lead.
And there's been so many times when I'd say, well, this is what's not working, and they go, well, do you still have warranty? It's like, I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't buy it. I bought the house and it was in the house and now it doesn't work. And so what's the problem? And so something like this can make all the difference in the world. You got a little tag on a refrigerator and you go scan it. It says, whoa, here's the model number. The warranty's all gone and this is who you call. So I think it's wonderful. And so as you've gone out to get the feedback, you've been talking to people, what has the general response been?
They all everybody seemed to like it. One, we added the newest feature is the passport checks, what I call it, with one distributor branch. Like, well, what if they still don't register warranty? Because it's such a big deal with the warranty registration. Like I said, people don't do it. It's fraud. Then they want their warranty and the contractors didn't do it. But the passport check was the newest feature. With the feedback that I got, maybe thinking that is basically, even if they don't do it, it's that simple to scan it, type it in real quick. Everybody gets an email to the homeowner, but the check checks it. If it don't have a warranty registration in say 45 days, it's sending an email out, a text message. Why is your system not registered? You're going to lose your warranty. It'll be done in a year if you don't register it, where you could get 10 or 5. It just depends on the system. But everybody seems to like the flow. Secretaries love it. It makes life so much faster on them, and so does service techs in the field. They can just punch it in right there. And you don't have to, write it down. It saves so much time for the secretary. And then there's a record for everybody. All you got to do is, if there's a question, just look at it. It's all there.
Well, it sounds amazing because there's so many times when, the homeowner, that's not my job. All right. Something breaks. It's like, ask me a question about this. That's my sandbox. This is, it's not working and I need it to work. So making life easier for the consumer. And the repairman as well. When you've got, it's like for me, they've got to drive an hour just to get to me. Well, I don't want them driving an hour and then saying, I wish I'd known what was wrong with it. I don't have all the right parts. And model numbers, that can make a big difference in Absolutely. What they bring with them. Yep. So what's next for you? What is your ultimate goal?
My goal is, when we spoke earlier, the manufacturers, I want the retro part because there's so many out there and I help so many people, of course, but I really want to get with the manufacturer. Would love to get a manufacturer signed on because it starts from the top of the chain and everybody can follow suit. And I'd love to have all manufacturers, of course. I feel like, because it'd be like a spider web when they all get on board and everybody's using it. It's just a go-to thing. That would be the main goal.
So you don't really have to worry about manufacturing, right?
No, because really, you can use the app, but the paint, a paint on the side of it with a QR code with a nice emblem. The passport emblem is what would be ideal, on the paint scheme of the system when it's built and made. So no, on the retro, yes, but on the manufacturer part, no. It can be done without a tangible part.
When you work in the field, all right, are you a repairman? Are you a salesman? What are you?
Me, I do it all. I own the HVAC business, so I've done it all. I've got a view from all areas of it, and that's how I kind of pieced it together, the problems that I've seen through the years. But I do all of it.
All right. So you don't look like a gentleman, who's, you look like a gentleman who's working in the field, not a gentleman who's writing code.
Oh, no, I don't write the code. I've got a software guy that he writes good code.
So how did you, figure out he can't read your mind. All right. And, I don't think anybody's invented the crystal ball. How did you share with him what you needed it to do?
Phew, at the beginning, it was interesting. I looked through a few different guys, and this guy, he was very intellect, and he kind of seemed to, we had good conversation. And at first, it was tough, and he pieced this stuff together. And then we started saying, "Hey, look, we got to meet at least once a week, instead on the phone and all this stuff." And it got better and better. At first, it was like, "Oh, that's pretty close, but we need to tweak this." And it was a lot of tweaking to make the prototype. I mean, a lot of back and forth, but he did well, and it all worked out. And it evolved. It can grow too much, I believe. It grew some. There's some main features that is definitely what we want, but it can keep growing. It's amazing you put concentration on something, how much it evolved.
It's interesting because if you're doing a 3D type of prototype, a product, all right, that you touch and feel and put on a store shelf, there's the same kind of tweaking that goes on. All right, it needs to be a little bigger. This part needs to be a little bit smaller. When you're doing a computer app, really, some kind of functioning, it's still got to be tweaked so that it does what you want it to do. It's like you need to make it do it this way instead of that way. And so there's a lot of trial and error.
Yes, absolutely. A lot. We do have a tangible part as well, and it has the QR code and the NFC chip tap, and it works. As soon as you tap it, if you got the passcode, it takes you straight to the software portal.
Excellent. So as you go through these next steps, one of the things that we always tell inventors is, like, as you were using it and making improvements to it and helping it to evolve, it's like pumping life into your product. So you're always paying attention as you go through and do this. It's not unusual that people will file, multiple patents as they go through the steps and make the improvements to it. Or when you think it's like, holy cow, we could do it this way on this type of product. And though even it changes things a little bit, it gives your intellectual property then extra life because they're only good for 20 years from the date you file.
Yeah.
So any new exciting versions that you think are coming down the pike?
Like I said, adding the passport check was the main one, and then ordering the parts from the field. That's a newer one. Those are the new things. I think, we want to focus on the main features that helps so well and not get spread way too far and put a lot of focus on those to the manufacturers.
Good thinking. So, Chad, thanks so much for being with us. We are going to be right back after we go. You're welcome. We'll do it again sometime after we see where you get to in the next few months. So anyway, everybody, stick with us. We will be right back for another segment of Invent America.
TrueUp, easiest way to hang your pictures. We all know how stressful picture hanging can get. TrueUp comes with everything you need to level and hang pictures with no damage and no mess. Just peel, apply the adhesive to the back of the TrueUp mount and press firmly. Remove the remaining adhesive. Use the level and press and hold for 3 to 5 seconds to attach the TrueUp mount to your wall with a strong hold. The TrueUp frame adapter is compatible with most frames on the market. Apply the adhesive strip to the adapter, stick, and your frame hangs easily on the wall mount. This lets you adjust your picture side to side for perfect placement every time. The possibilities are limitless, and it's easy on your walls. Picture hanging can be truly a one-person job. TrueUp, the future of hanging is here.
And thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. This segment is brought to you by TrueView. It is the only accurate 3D real-time imaging blind spot mirror available to the consumer. And man, it's easy to use and easy to install. We've all had those semis and trailers and those big trucks pull up next to us and scare the daylights out of us because we couldn't see real time, all right, where that vehicle was, how big it was, and when it was going to pull into our peripheral vision. TrueView is the only mirror that allows you accurate 3D imaging. Cargocatch.com is where you can go and get your 3D TrueView mirror. And my guest for this segment, and I am very grateful that Chad decided to stick with us for a third segment. And, we want to talk a little bit more about that intellectual property. Intellectual property is a big deal, especially if you want to be able to go and license your intellectual property. You want somebody else to run with it. You want somebody else to do the heavy lifting. And what they are paying you to use really is their intellectual property. So, Chad, how did you go through that process?
It was different. I didn't know how to do it. I went and spoke to the patent attorney in Charlotte, and it took me. He had to really beat it in my head. I was hard headed with it, trying to get certain claims patented, and he was saying that's just common stuff that you use. So he was very, not only know the language to use, but technical of the claims that he claimed and how he worded them. But I pitched it to him, and really he handled it all. I took him my ideas, and he kept it for about a month, and then he come back. Of course, I wanted more, and he's like, "Well, you're not going to get that. That's just normal stuff that people do." But he was able to get, I think 10, 11, 12 claims out of it.
Good for you. And that's one of the things that we run into on a regular basis is the inventor really doesn't understand the USPTO and the patent system. And man, it can be an octopus to try to deal with, because it's not every day you deal with it. And the attorneys, they're used to the language. It's like a alphabet soup out there with all the different stuff that goes on. And, we've talked about that and laughed about it. And then I try to, explain it. But, it's not easy to go through the patent process.
No.
And really, a lot of inventors will file a provisional patent application first. And that's kind of a timestamp. But even then, it's got to have enough in it to protect you if someone gives you a challenge on your filing date. And a lot of inventors is like, oh, I did it myself, and sent it out there. And it's like, well, that's the first wrong step, is to think that you can file your own intellectual property.
Right. Yeah. It was, we went straight non-provisional. And, I didn't know, he said we'd hear back from the patent office from a year to a year and a half for the first time. And he says, we're going to go back and forth. I may be able to set in some of those meetings, but they'll go back and forth 3 or 4 times. But it was normal for it to take that long, but we was good to, market it and licenses even, which was a little bit strange to me, because you got to get approved, but he feels confident that, most of the claims, especially the main claim, will get approved.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing is that, when I've helped an inventor license their patent, there's always a provision in there. If this patent doesn't issue, this agreement's null and void. So they don't want you to wait, because that's 3 to 4 years off the life of the patent that they could be out there, selling. And so it's, really interesting that a lot of inventors say, well, I had to wait till my patent issued. No, you don't. You go for it. And it's like, they always figure if you don't, you assume when you go out there and you're spending that kind of money that you've got a new and novel idea, and that you spent enough time researching it, or you had your attorney research it, that it's going to issue. And that, why did you pay that much money to an attorney to file a patent if you assumed it was going to fail?
Well, I didn't mention it, but he did do a patent. I did a search some, but he did a very intensive patent search.
Yeah.
To make sure there's no exactly prior art.
And that's good. I mean, we always suggest that inventors do that they do their own looking, all right, with the blinders off, because they don't always want to find something. And it's like, no, and a lot of inventors don't realize that a good patent is not industry specific.
Right.
And so, if you've got one of the big crossovers we see is mechanical tools and surgery. And a lot of inventors don't realize that. It was like, well, it does this in this industry. And it's like, yep, but it's not material specific, industry specific, or size specific. So you've got to look at all those things that are out there. And for a lot of inventors, when they say, well, it's made out of this, and that's, nope, doesn't matter. If it's made out of, aluminum on one side, then you can't be doing it out of, plastic on another side and assume it's new. So fortunately for you, material isn't really a big idea, because you're dealing with code.
Most of it, yes. 90% of it's code. 95% of it's code. Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. The big challenges, kind of are ahead of you. It's one thing, you say, I'm going to go file a patent, and it's like you do, and then you get it made so you can use it and prove it. But mount marketing is probably the hardest thing for an inventor to accomplish.
I agree. I've tried to make contact. I'm reaching out for people I think can help me do this with licenses. But, there's a couple software companies I feel like I'd love to add this to their software platform that they use in this field. It gives them features that make theirs even, and they're already huge. Incredible. I can't get through the door. I've tried, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm not complaining, but I'll find a way through the door. Eventually we'll get up there. But it's just difficult.
Oh, it is. And we are going to see if we can give you a hand doing that. Because
really appreciate it.
we do on this side of things in our regular day job when we're not doing radio, is we help inventors find the deals so that we can get that product out there. And I know that I told a couple of people I work with about what you're doing, and they're going, holy cow, let's get this done now. So, you're right when you say the feedback has been really good.
Thank you. Be awesome.
So anyway, thank you so much for being with us today. We are grateful. And everyone, we want to do a big shout out to King Productions, because that is how we make this happen every single week. So thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week with more stories on getting products from mind to market. We will have new inventors and industry experts. So join us and have a wonderful week.